I wear a ton of hats. I am a business owner, an entrepreneur, a tutor. I work one-on-one with clients. I have a family. I take classes. It's a lot. The number one question that I get on social media, with my clients, with students I work with, is how do I stay motivated? So today I thought I would talk about my tips on how to get and stay motivated right now. Hi, I'm Teryl, and this is Absolutely Studying. I want to supply you with all of the resources and support you need to flourish in your academic career. Today, we are talking about motivation. How do I stay motivated? What are my tricks? How do I keep going from sun up to sundown with no break? And we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into that myth first of all, and then we are going to get into some tips on how to stay productive and motivated. So first of all, going to university, going and pursuing education and working or even just building your own business up from scratch is a time cruncher. Like, it just eats up your time. So does having a social life and family. And it's so often that people believe that you can't have it all. And what I have to say to that is that you need to be very deliberate in your planning, and you have to pay serious attention to detail, not only in the product you produce, but also in your schedule and organization. I'm naturally a worker, so I'm one of those people who naturally like to stay busy, but I do have my times where I have my slumps and I just wanna hang out and lay in bed and fall into the hole of social media and spend an entire day on YouTube. Who does not have that time? But the things that help me are setting and keeping priorities. The first thing to staying motivated is to only pick 3 main goals or tasks for your day. There's always going to be those more mundane things, you know, waking up, having breakfast, having a shower, brushing your teeth. Those you can't change. But try not to have 3 main larger objectives. So in that case, you might choose meal planning, cleaning your bedroom, and writing an essay as your 3 main objectives for the day. That's a lot. That is already a ton. Do not expect any more from yourself. You have to understand your limitations, and piling on a ton of activities that you are expected to do in a day is just setting yourself up for failure, which will reduce your mood, hit your self-confidence, and ultimately lower your motivation. However, if you give yourself 3 targets for the day and you complete those targets, then you're gonna get a boost. You're gonna get a little pep in your step, and you're gonna wanna tackle even more things. And that's going to push your motivation, not hinder it. So try and limit yourself to 3 main objectives for a day. The next thing is use your planner. I love my planner. It is like an extension of my body. It is another appendage. I cannot live without my planner. My planner does a couple of things for me. It not only allows me to plan out how I'm going to spend my time in the week coming up, it also tells me how I've spent time in the past. Why is that important? Because I need to see what I'm spending too much time on. You're going to notice for some things that you pour a ton of time into them. And I'm not saying that that's time wasted. I'm saying that perhaps focusing extra energy on that task if you have a free day and getting ahead on it might be in your best interest. If you are spending a third of your day every single day reading for one specific class, that is going to let us know that that is something that requires more attention, and we're going to have to sink some extra time in it when we have it. So maybe on a Saturday, if you have some extra time, you want to get ahead on that class, do extra reading or extra studying, just to make sure that you are caught up and then some, rather than just trying to spend 2 hours a day staying afloat. We can find a chunk of time to allot and put some extra TLC into that obligation. The next thing that I really use to stay motivated is to stay organized. It's so much easier to convince yourself to do a task and to focus on something when you know that you have everything for that task already in place. So whether that is keeping a clean workstation or, having all of the items you need for a project before you sit down to start it, staying organized is really a big thing. One thing that I do to stay organized is I try and block my time. So I break down absolutely everything that I try and do into 10 or 15-minute blocks and then schedule those throughout my day. So I know that anything that I decide to do in a day is not going to take me longer than 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And if it does, I just assign a second block to it. Not necessarily immediately after it, but sometime in that day or the coming days. So for example, if I am reading, I will break down my readings into 10-minute sections. Now, with those 10-minute sections, I further break up my day. So if I am reading, that's a study activity, and I exercise the Pomodoro technique. So with that breaks down your study session into 20-minute sessions. And between each of those 20-minute sessions, you have a 5-minute break. After 4 of those sessions, you have a 20-minute break. So now I have broken down exactly what I'm going to do in each one of those 20-minute breaks, and between them, I will get up and do something active. So if I have a mess that I have to clean up, I will jump up and I will clean up the mess for 5 minutes. It gets me out of the seat, it gets me away from my work. I'm not necessarily using my brain, so it's a nice little break. If I have to do some laundry, I will go and pop it in then. So it is really structuring your day so you're making the most out of your time and breaking up your activities so that you're not falling into a ton of monotony and falling into a hole of I have to do this activity for who knows how long and I will never get out of it. The next thing I would say is self-care and reward yourself. So when you are budgeting, one of the very first things that an accountant or a financial advisor will tell you is to pay yourself first. And I'm going to give you that same advice. Pay yourself first. If that is in self-care, then do that. Make sure you schedule at least a little bit of time every single day to pay yourself. Whether it is, 15 minutes before bed of reading a book or throwing on a face mask in the morning. It doesn't matter how you reward yourself as long as you dedicate a few minutes a day just to taking care of you. They always tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and this is doing that. If you burn yourself out, if you do not acknowledge yourself or your self-worth, then you will not be able to accomplish any of the things that you want to do. You will not be able to muster up any motivation. You will just burn yourself out. So I encourage you, if you do nothing else on this list, pay yourself first. Another great tip that I use to motivate myself is positive self-talk. We are always so quick to pile on ourselves and be like, oh my God, how could I make such a stupid mistake? I'm such an idiot. Even though you think you are joking, your brain repeats them to yourself and that pushes you down. Pay yourself first. Give yourself positive self-talk. If you do something half decent, acknowledge that. Give yourself a compliment. Tell yourself, I did good. It's okay. It's not conceited to give yourself a compliment every once in a while. You don't have to be loud and screaming it off the mountains if that's not your personality. But, if you make a delicious lunch, say to yourself, this is delicious. I did a good job. Pay yourself a compliment. Pay yourself first. Next is understanding your limitations. I know my limitations. I respect my limitations. I don't think that it takes away at all from what I can accomplish. I just acknowledge and plan around it. So a perfect example, I'm an extremely slow reader. There are reasons for it. I've always had a tough time. I love reading. It's just something that I struggle with sometimes. I am the type of person that I have to sit down with a sentence and I have to read it, then I have to imagine it, then I have to picture it and try and figure out how it works, and then I understand it. Sitting down for an hour and reading is not going to help me. I have to go through an entire ritual, a whole progress in order for me to actually take in the information in a textbook. So this is a limitation that I have. Is it going to stop me from getting the grades that I want? No. I am going to acknowledge my limitations. I am going to work around them, and I'm going to make sure that I know how to accommodate that limitation. Whether my 10-minute block is skimming, where I skim through the chapter, I look at the headings, I read the captions underneath all of the diagrams, and I prime myself for what I'm going to be reading. I take the necessary steps to work around and schedule what I need to do in my limitations. If it's time, if I know I only have a 15-minute block to spare on a specific day, I'm not going to sit down and try and edit a video. It takes me hours to edit these videos. It's not fair for me to think that I can do it in 15 minutes. Respect your limitations, understand them, and work to accommodate them so that you are not getting frustrated with your own limits. Finally, I try my best a little bit in the evening, and especially on Sundays. I do my best to unplug. I keep my notifications off, always. I am very distracted by my phone, and even though I have to have it near me to, quell any kind of anxiety, I don't want it to notify me that something's happening, because then I will drop everything and I will pick up my phone just immediately. And that's not what I want to do, because that stops me from my 10-minute schedule or my 15-minute schedule. So I keep off my notifications, and I try to unplug and disconnect from my phone as much as possible in the evening, and especially on Sundays. This is huge because I do a lot of one-on-one work with my clients, but I need to be able to reset, spend time with friends and family, and be able to indulge in that self-care that I so adamantly preach. If you are struggling with motivation or organization, I do have a free study planner. It's in the description. It will help you with more than 20 study activities. It also has weekly planners and study session planners that will help you break down and plan out your time so that you are using it as efficiently as possible, and to, again, help you with that motivation, breaking things down into tiny little pieces and marking them off of your to-do list. Check me out on my socials or on our website. We have a ton of free articles and resources to help you get through that study struggle. Subscribe to our channel, and I will see you again next Thursday with another video. And until then, I hope you have an amazing adventure.